Hey gang, I thought I'd start looking at this spawning issue for these ladybugs. I just popped in real quick, and I do agree. I added some code here that says, "Hey, spawn in a location," and I don't see it. So the first problem was the spawning control. If we look here, I actually added this because it didn't spawn it inside of the canvas. This is every ladybug was a UI element, is a UI element. It has a canvas render and stuff. So if it renders to the canvas but is spawned outside of the canvas, it doesn't exist. So you are actually spawning it not within the canvas. So that was step one of the problem. I have to define a location to spawn, so I called it a container. I just made myself a little container here so that when it spawns, I can put it inside of that container, inside of the canvas, and go from there. So that's step one. Step one is, let's look at my spawn controller. Bam, spawn manager. Spawn manager knows its spawn container. I don't know if spawn manager should really be inside of this canvas, but I'm ignoring it for now. Spawn container is here. Maybe I even put that inside to make it all like kind of nice and clean. And I'll make this take up, oh, that's actually just a regular old transform, so I won't do that. Okay, so we got our spawn container. Spawn container will contain the ladybug. And then now we kind of need to do some cute stuff to make it maybe spawn at different points and to be spawned within the element. So after I did that, because it has hard-coded positions of where it spawns, like 800, if I go out to my scene view, you'll notice that I believe they get spawned below. Let's open this up. There's my ladybug spawn container. Where are they at? Where are you at? They're off screen somewhere. Ah, yeah, see, they're way down there. So I need to resolve that and make sure that they're spawning on top of here. So, ooh, scale 42, that's interesting. What happens when they're here? Oh, they are scale 42. Okay. So if I make it scale 1, 1, 1, and then make it instead a width of times 42, right? This is probably nicer. I'd rather do that than scale. Scale's kind of gross. So I will keep it like that. And I don't think it needs a rigid body or anything. I don't think it needs any of that unless the... Okay, the script requires a rigid body. That's fine. If its position is more than the right bound, then destroy itself. Fair enough. I could do something else. I'll think on that in a little bit. So let's first make sure that it spawns within these bounds. So spawn manager, instead of spawning at a specific location, I'm going to make this a rect transform so that I have more control. And I'll just say using Unity engine.ui in case I need it. So rect transform will give me, not only is it a game object, not only does it have a transform, but it has a UI transform, so I can know the width and the height and all that stuff. So whenever it spawns an object, and I generally approve of using spawn ladybug, you might want to do while, you might want to do like while the game is not paused or something, but what do I care? It's fine. So instantiate ladybug at inside this container as game object and set its position. Okay, so first I want to say, I can probably get away with doing this. I believe a rect transform is a type of transform, so when I instantiate and say child to this, it should still work. I also want to say spawn container dot width dot rect dot width. Nice, so I have that. Float width equals that. And float height equals spawn container dot rect dot height. Okay, so that's one thing. And so I want the ladybug to appear, I guess, from one side of the screen and pop off and go to the other side. So vector3 spawn position equals, I don't know, spawn local position, because he's going to be positioned inside of an object, so I don't need to like deal with the position of the UI or anything. I'll just make it as local as possible, equals vector3.0, because that'll be right in the center of the object. So that means whenever I add a new ladybug, it would appear right here. So if I set it 0, 0, 0, boom, it'll be there. So what if I could do this cute, I could like make it random and all that stuff, but what if I took my ladybug spawn container and made my pivot on the left, boom, and set this all to 0. I set this ladybug position. Okay, so the pivot will not influence. I could do this a few ways. I could just straight up say, okay, make it go from 0 to 0, have 0 width, so I always spawn it there and have it go to the other side. I could do that. Maybe that's what I'll do. I could do it like that, or I could do it by getting the width of this, dividing it in half, and saying, okay, spawn to the left by that amount. So, like so. Spawn local position dot x equals negative 0.5f multiplied by my width. So now that's going to make me be perfectly in the center and to the left. And so now I can say dot local position equals here. And I don't believe I need these anymore. Get out of here. I'll do that procedurally. And let's see what happens. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not used to like spawning things in the UI quite like this. I'm used to like procedural grids and that type of thing, but this is definitely a legitimate way. I would have expected to see one by now. Oop, I got an error. Let's see what. Oh, I know why. I forgot to drag in the new. Boom. There. Forgot to redo that. Boom. Show it to me. Let's open up the play scene. I think it'll work. Oop, that's a thing. That's a big boy. He's a big boy. Perfect. Absolutely everything we wanted, right? So what I forgot to do was on this ladybug, I needed to set it to having a scale of 1, because this ladybug I needed to apply the changes I did to it to the child. So let's see how that goes. 3, 2, 1, boom. Okay, let's click through to that. Actually, let's just press play and see specifically what number was off on the little ladybug. All right, so we got 2 ladybugs now. He's only 15 width. I want him to be 42. So let's go through to select, open prefab. Weird. 42 was it? 42? Boom. Go back. Ladybug. Oh, 105. Dang it. Apply all. Select, open the prefab. 105 by 105. And I don't need any of that stuff. It's a prefab, so that stuff doesn't really matter. Because I'm positioning it myself. Now let's look at it. Perfect. Okay, so he appears on the left-hand side and he goes to the other side. That's fine. And maybe we want to give ourselves some variation on the y. So maybe spawn local position dot y equals random dot range. Range. So I want to go between a few points, somewhere between -1f and 1f, multiplied by half of my height, because it'll be 1 in that direction or 1 in the other direction. So 0.4f times height, so it doesn't ever hit like the actual ends of the screen. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it. Okay, so we've got, let's see it happen. So it's gonna spawn here. Boom. There's one. Let's look for another. Nice. Okay, so that's working. So we have that going on, and now I want the ladybug to successfully disappear. So as it stands, the ladybug does not disappear because it is looking for some hard-coded bound that it's waiting to exceed. And if my position.x is greater than that right bound, then destroy. I could do that. I could also do a collision bound on exit of a particular collision. Or I could do a local position where if I exceed a certain local position issue, then I can... I'm not entirely opposed to using the rigid body. To me, it's a little much. It's like kind of unnecessary, but I'll accept it for now. It doesn't really matter. So let's make this a private right bound, right local bound equals, doesn't matter what it starts out as, public void set local right bound. And that can be it's going to take in a float, and I'll say local right local bound equals x. Now I can say if my local position exceeds this right bound, which would be right local bound, then destroy this object. Now from the spawn manager, I can say if a.getComponent ladybug. Now, see, I would recommend having that be singular, not plural, but I'll leave it for now. So if it's of type ladybug, then I can tell it to have a bound. So if it's a ladybug, then get that component and say set local right bound to what? I want to set it to its local position, meaning that I don't want it to exceed, it's going to compile for a moment. That means I don't want it to exceed 0. His position now is 0 plus, dang it, 0 plus the width of the parent rectangle, this one. So that's going to be half the width of the parent rectangle. So let's do that, because it's in the middle, so it needs half the width to get across. So I need to set it, I need to set it to width over 2f, or 0.5. I know everywhere else I've been doing this, 0.5f times width. So after that point, it will die. So let's see what happens. And we don't want a ladybug to start. Well, I mean, we can, but the first ladybug will not die when I press play because it's going to wait to be at 800, which is going to take a while. The scene. Now it should die right when it hits here. Pop. And pop. Perfect. So it takes about 5 seconds to get across. All that's looking good. I'll set that spawn rate back up to, oh, it looks like I changed it in editor. So let's go back to spawn manager and I'll set it back to 15. Perfect. And the ladybug. Let's be clever. So I want it to not disappear when it exceeds, so we have the ladybug. And the ladybug has a velocity. And the ladybug has a position. When its position crosses over that point, it disappears. So the edge of the screen, which means that its butt will still be in view because it's the center of the object, and then it disappears. I want it to keep going. We could have a static integer that we type in. I know it's 105 pixels big. So I'd do minus 105 or whatever, or minus 52 and a half or whatever, and call it a day. But what if we change the size of the ladybug? Or what if there's multiple sizes of ladybugs to begin with? So I want to have a public rect transform ladybug rect, ladybug rect. And so now here I can say if it's greater than the right bound plus the ladybug dot rect dot width over 2f, that's when I die. So now it won't die until it's fully left the screen. And I might have that inverse. It might have to be minus, but I think it's plus. I think it should be plus. I'm gonna go back to my ladybug. Boom. And ladybug is gonna want to know what its rect transform is. It's gonna be this. Boom. Save. And go back. Boom. I don't really want a ladybug to start with, since its values are going to be weird to start anyway. And so now, when that ladybug spawns, because I'm taking its width, I set it back to 15 seconds, so I'll wait. I'll wait. There. Okay. Here it comes, and I shouldn't see it disappear until its butt is off the screen. Nice. Because otherwise it was disappearing when it was halfway on the screen still. And so let's go to my scene view and verify that right when its butt exits, that's when it dies. Boom. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. So that is how I would fix your spawning problem. I will zip this up and hook you up. Have a good one. Bye.